Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, welcome, I think. Hang on here. Yeah, hi. I'm sorry, I failed to mute my... Never mind. Shut up. I'm talking to myself, okay? Just talking to myself. Hello, it is the 22nd of December. The skies are blue. The sun is shining, at least here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And that's fitting because the Steelers, I still don't understand it, won a game yesterday. I don't like when games come down to a bunch of guys in, black and white stripes standing around talking to each other. I just, it's like lawyers, right? It's like everything ends up with, parsing this and that and blah blah blah. I don't know. I feel for the I feel for the Detroit fans. It's one of those games where I feel for the loser as much as I'm happy about the outcome. It's like one of those games where both teams deserve to win. The Lions for coming back as they did, and whatever. I don't know, guys. Richard is already on me about how did the Packers blow that game? That was Saturday night. I didn't even know they played on Saturdays now. What is it, every day of the week? Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays? God. That was an extraordinary game. Whoa. And yeah, that didn't end till like midnight or something. And these games are not good for my health. I just want to say that those are my teams, the Packers and the Steelers, and both played games this weekend that were designed to, give you a cardiac arrest. Jeez. Really not good for your health, especially like with the Steelers game when, it's way past my bedtime. And then I'm supposed to go to sleep. I mean, win or lose. The Packer game. How do you go to sleep? The Packers lost a game. If you didn't see it, if you didn't stay up till midnight Saturday night, the Packers lost in overtime. God damn! You can't make. You just can't make it up. Whatever. Great game. Again, it's one of those games where you just hate any team to have lost. Players playing their hearts out. God, there's been some good. I'm so sort of wanting to hate football for many reasons. The damage it does to those beautiful young men who play it, and then also just the NFL on principle. But, I grew up with it. I can't help it. I get drawn into it. And it is a fucking brutal game. Just brutal. Yeah. So there was that, and I'm happy that the Steelers won. And what, they got the Browns up next? Don't look past that. I don't know. Man, if the Steelers manage to squeak into the playoffs, that'll be something. So, okay, enough with that. There's so much goddamn news. I can't even, you don't even, you don't know where to start. You just don't know how to start. I guess the biggies that I do want to talk about are the vice president, that would be JD Vance, uh, who just went full on KKK racist rant this weekend at the Turning Points conference, whatever that is. Just unbelievable to, I didn't listen or watch, but to read what he said. It's just unbelievable. It's flat out un-American, flat out fascist, flat out racist, nationalist, Christian nationalist, racist. And that's the guy who's in line to be president. All of us who keep praying that the Lord will take Donald J. Trump, that this guy, Vance, is terrifying. He's full on Nazi. And he's thrown in with that crowd. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about 60 Minutes. And, it feels like so many things we love are being destroyed, killed, and there's another one. Something that's been with us for so long, a trusted, something that so many Americans shared on a Sunday evening. It's being destroyed, is destroyed, it's gone. Okay, so there's that. There's the F. and Kennedy Center, which of course we'll always call the Kennedy Center. And the extraordinary neediness of this soulless creep who is the president. Wow. Just wow. And then there's the, last time I talked to you was Thursday, so Friday was the deadline for the release of the Epstein Papers. And it was, as most of us suspected it would be, it was bullshit. They didn't release anything. They released nothing of any interest. I don't think anything with Donald Trump's name in it was released. It was just stuff that had, Democrats in it. Clinton. Clinton in a swimming pool or something? That is a swimming pool somewhere in Switzerland, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand any of it. And this is in defiance, flouting of a law. It's contempt of Congress. But we have now an executive and an executive branch that, does what it wants to do. It's really astonishing. We've lost. Okay, I'll stop. I'll just stop. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there's that. Those are the biggies that I need to discuss. Where to start? I want to start with Vance because wow. I saw something on Threads, social media, that just summed it up so beautifully. The just out and out racism now of the Republican Party. Somebody posted, I think I'll get this right because I so understood it, absolutely agreed. Someone had posted, "I'm white And I am so fucking tired of white people. I cannot even imagine how black people must feel. Yeah, that sums it up. Because when I could argue that I'm not white, I'm a Jew, because this crowd takes me out of the white when they need to and makes me a minority. And then when they need to include me, I get included. Who knows? But But I'm white. I present as white. And I so agree. I often, as I read some of this stuff, I cannot begin to imagine the rage, the revulsion that black people live with, and revulsion against us. Any black person you know who warmly takes you in as a friend is managing to overcome what for many would just be impossible. It would be an impossible gulf. I understand that, but see, it's racists, white racists, create black racists. They do nothing but create hate. So those that they target with their hate end up hating. And some indiscriminately. All white people. But you can understand it because we see it. It would go both ways, right? And it destroys us as a community, as a nation. These guys are so... I happened to read somewhere, I don't even want to talk, this I do not want to talk about, nor will I ever see. Apparently that documentary, who did that on Melania, that they pay, I mean, it's just, again, big business cowering and being supplicants to Trump without even being asked. And somewhere it said that in this documentary, Melania is putting the view of her is of somebody who is a trusted confidant of the president. And I saw a little squib that said that Trump was practicing, I can't believe this, a speech he had to give. And he said something about being someone who created, who brought peace to so many places on the globe. This must have been something where he's always jockeying to get a Nobel Peace Prize. So he was saying that, and Melania was apparently or supposedly listening to him. And she said, no, well, that's fine, but you also need to put in that you're a peacemaker and a unifier. And, it's stuff like, I mean, I laughed out. It's not a laugh, because, again, we've all turned into these, he curdles our very souls, so that, a laugh is really actually is more like a scream for help. It's that's when I think of Trump, I really do. Melania, wow, right on it, babe. I do think, yes, unifier. Dear God in heaven. So, JD Vance. I guess the big applause line, there were millions, but JD Vance, the Vice President of the United States of America, actually said to this throng of white folks in front of him, I guess this is considered one of their greatest accomplishments. You don't have to apologize for being white anymore. When did these fucks ever apologize for being white? It's people like me who apologize for being white, and I'll continue to apologize for being white. You don't have to apologize. No, what he's saying, that's not what he meant. What he meant to say is you can go full on racist now. That's what we've done. We have freed you. Yeah. No more watching your words, biting your tongue, not wanting to offend. We've taken care of that. Just let it out. Let it out. You don't have to apologize for being white anymore, for being Christian anymore. Unbelievable. Okay, so another thing he said, and this part is actually even, well, listen, I'm not about to start parsing levels of horror here. Let me see. God damn it. God damn it. Excuse me. I can't get to what I need. What the hell? Excuse me while I scream at my phone. Thank you. Okay. He actually, I mean, full-on racist, full-on, I'll get later to, Heather Cox Richardson did a long piece on this last night. Boy, what a gift that woman is to us and to making sure that our history of this moment is compiled in real time. I mean, just full-on racist. The Somalis, oh my God, Minneapolis. Apparently the mayor of Minneapolis is a, this I didn't know. Is a Somali of Somali descent. He's an American. Don't want to fall into their fucking traps. And so he said something to the effect, and this counts as a laugh line for JD, who's a man. When I think of knee slapping funny, I do, of course, JD Vance pops right into the forefront. But he was talking about, I guess, some racist diatribe against Somali Americans and in Minneapolis, and he said he misidentified the mayor as the mayor of Mogadishu. And then he said, oh, whoops, little Freudian slip there. I mean, the mayor of Minneapolis. Oh, the crowd falling out of their chairs laughing at that one. So this mayor, who he said was the mayor of Mogadishu, this guy that the Vice President of the United States was disparaging, because he is a black man with power who descends from Somali immigrants. This man was born in the United States, like many of us, an American citizen at birth. His father had come to America in the early 1960s on a scholarship. So, remember that phrase? It's gone now. Dog whistles. You know how it used to be. The Republicans would traffic in racist dog whistles. Willie Horton, welfare queens or kings, that kind of thing. Everybody knew what they were saying. And now it's, again, they've been freed from the shackles that were put on them by these effing woke, right, Dems. He went after Jasmine Crockett, member of Congress. Extremely, she's a pistol, and she's running, God help her, for the Senate in Texas. I can't imagine she's got a shot, but man, God bless her. If Jasmine Crockett wins the Senate race in Texas, then we're getting where we need to be. Talking about her. Still dog whistling. A little bit. I think this qualifies as a dog whistle. He said she has a street girl persona. What he means is, of course, she's not afraid to get in his face. She personifies this, idea of the angry black woman. Right? And then he said the street girl persona is an act. I think he means because street girl persona is like a black woman who's not highly educated, because Jasmine Crockett is. I don't know. It's okay for JD Vance to parade around as an Appalachian hillbilly when he needs to. This guy who went to Yale and became rich and powerful. These people, I hate them so much I can't see straight. Anyway, he called her a fake street girl persona, as fake as her nails. Again, getting on black women, a lot of women, a lot of young women. I don't know how any, by the way, ladies, I don't get it myself, fake nails. And then the ones with all the stuff on them. It's obviously huge. It's the thing. But I once had those things put on me. I forget, it was a million years ago. And I was in, I think, someone's wedding, and they gave us all manicures and had us, maybe whatever. I so hated those things because they're thick. There's a thickness to them. I gotta tell you, it's harder to pick your nose with one of those. You lose all sense of sort of where the end of your nail is in space. I couldn't get used to it. I couldn't get those things off fast enough. Whatever. Anyway. God almighty. Yeah. Where is this thing he said? Wait, I gotta get the, Heather Cox Richardson thing. Here it is. Here's what he said. And this got huge applause, too. This is the Vice President of the United States. Hang your head in shame. He said, the only thing that has truly served as an anchor of the United States of America is that we have been, and by the grace of God we always will be, a Christian nation. Place went almost as wild as, you don't have to apologize anymore. Unbelievable. They ate that up. Heather Cox Richardson went nuts. She ended up writing. She's like blah, blah, blah. She couldn't refute that historic lie quicker, because it's clear the vice president, who I believe has a law degree from the prestigious Yale Law School, apparently does not know the first fucking amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. In other words, it is un-American and unconstitutional to suggest that we are a Christian nation. That would be the establishment of Christianity. Oh my God. As a Jewish American, I've always, I remember when I first learned of the letter that the first president of the United States, very early on in his presidency, wrote to the Jews of Newport, Rhode Island. I can't imagine it would have been many folks, but there they were. They had a little synagogue. And he wanted them to be assured. Well, here's what he wrote. In the United States of America, all possess alike liberty of conscience and immunities of citizenship. And he said that we, the government of the U.S., give to bigotry no sanction, and to persecution no assistance. Oh, George. George Washington, spinning in his grave, because that is exactly what the current federal government, executive branch, the president, the vice president, do. They give bigotry. Well, that's what we've been talking about it. And persecution? No assistance? Are you kidding? That is their MO. They proudly post videos of them persecuting other humans. They think it makes them look tough. Anyway, Washington went on to say that everyone in America, even you Jews, everyone shall sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid. Well, he couldn't imagine this country in 2025, or the man who holds the position that he held. Do you know, again, Heather Cox Richardson, when she went on to sort of say that this is something in the early part of the history of our country that was like seriously important to those guys we're always lauding, the founding fathers. And it was one of the more revolutionary things that they did in establishing the United States. Because I didn't know, they so took that First Amendment absolutely, literally, that they insisted that the federal mail be delivered 7 days a week. There had been an effort to say, well, of course, on the Sabbath, Sunday, we're not going to deliver the mail. And someone, I don't know who, pointed out, well, that's not the Saturday is the Sabbath for Jews. And so it was actually said that the mail had to be delivered 7 days a week because we are not a Christian nation. We cannot establish a religion and have the functions of government somehow cater to that religion. Unbelievable, huh? You can see at some point we said, fuck that. Well, I didn't, but most of the white Christians who were in charge did. And it was right around the Civil War when the white Christians, well, they got a leg up because they relied on religious justification for enslaving black people. And they insisted the Bible clearly stated that there was a hierarchical structure with white folks at the top. And they argued, she says, that God made black folks for enslavement and made women for marriage. And society must recognize those facts. All right. But now it's 2025 in America. And thank God you don't have to apologize for being white anymore, 'cause this is a fucking Christian nation. And if you don't believe it, we'll fucking burn a cross on your front yard, throw rocks through your windows. Yes. I just... fucking believable. Okay. 60 minutes. I tend not to watch it and haven't for a bit. I don't know. Mostly because I'm depressed enough, and so much of what they do is just, giving me more reason to be depressed. Hang on while I take a swig. Let's say I'm coming off a Sunday where the Packers lost, the Steelers lost, and now I'm supposed to watch 60 Minutes and see, exactly the kind of thing they were going to show last night. This report of putting a human face on what Trump and his administration did in rounding up those Venezuelans and shipping them off, not to Venezuela, but to El Salvador to be tortured, killed, and terrorized. And again, openly, bragging about it. It used to be when the U.S. did, stuff like that, grabbing people, torturing them, stuff like that. They kept it on the QT. Wasn't something they bragged about. Well, all that's, you don't have to apologize for being a sadistic son of a bitch. You revel in it. So Bari Weiss, I guess, pulled the plug. From what I'm reading, on Saturday, and the reporter who had done the piece, hang on while I get my story here. Anyway, the reporter then put out an email to everybody explaining what had happened and calling it what it was. It was just flat out censorship because the White House wouldn't like that report. So it was Bari Weiss making sure that 60 Minutes did not upset the president any more than he had to be upset at any given time. So they didn't tell us, the people, that they pulled it until just a few hours before the show aired. And it comes down to the fact that there was, in the piece as it exists, there is nobody from the Trump White House explaining, I mean, they're not included, explaining why they did what they did to the men who are featured in the piece. And there's no one from the Trump administration in the piece, which is why Bari Weiss pulled it, because it was one-sided, apparently. Because the White House refused the reporter when she asked for, she sent them questions. She says, this is what we need to know from you. And they wouldn't respond. So Bari Weiss says, well, we've got to have a response from them. The reporter says, they said they wouldn't. So now the White House understands full well, it did before, I'm sure, that all they have to do is refuse to respond, and that then makes whatever piece a reporter is doing one-sided. And buttresses Bari Weiss's contention that mainstream media is a political enterprise. The reporter said that story went through all the, I can't even imagine the bells and whistles that have to be dealt with to get a story on. She says it was screened 5 times, cleared 5 times by the legal guys at the network, by the standards and practices guys at the network. No one is arguing that there is anything factually incorrect. In Weiss's statement, she says, my job is to make sure that all stories we publish are the best we can be. First of all, I just want to say, just that line shows you that this is a woman who has never worked in television news. Because she hasn't. And now she's heading the most storied television news magazine there is. Because no one in television news would use the word publish. She's a newspaper person. I mean, she doesn't even speak like somebody who is in television. She still thinks they're publishing at 60 Minutes. I'm sorry. There was something else I wanted to say, and now I don't know what to say. I am so freaked out. Apparently, Weiss said, look, you need to put the White House in here. How about we get statements from, listen to this, from Stephen Miller? The worst of the worst. But he would be behind, he is the person too. I mean, because this was probably his baby. It has all the earmarkings of his sadistic cruelty. And then she gave, apparently, the reporter his phone number, because I guess Bari's pretty tight with him. And apparently she also was upset that the reporter had called these men migrants and not, I guess, what Bari would call them. I think Bari said illegal immigrants is the proper term. It isn't the proper term because some of these guys were legally in the United States. They had done what they had to do. They were seeking asylum, and they had been given, they had done everything the government suggested. They had registered and were legally, if not permanently, here. They were not illegal. Some of them might have been in terms of how they look at people. And the reporter, of course, said that, look, if the Trump administration's refusal to participate in one of our stories becomes a valid reason to kill the story, then we have effectively handled the White House a veto, a kill switch for any uncomfortable kind of reporting like this one that would make them look bad. And that's why Bari Weiss is at CBS. That is why she was brought in. What I want to know is what do you think's going to happen? And what should happen? I was thinking, Leslie Stahl and Bill, who I don't even know who's on there anymore. These people, they should just fucking, give her the finger and walk. Say, we don't do propaganda. We don't do state-sponsored media. That's Fox News. If we wanted to be Fox News, we would have worked for Fox News. And that's my first reaction. But my second reaction is, wait a minute. Maybe that's exactly what they want, right? What has this crowd done over and over and over again? They've swapped out competent people for idiots. Loyal idiots who will do what they're told. I mean, that's Trump's cabinet right there. And one of the things you do when you want to be the king is obviously you take control of media as well. He's got the executive branch. He's destroyed all the agencies of that branch in the same way. And now he's working it out into media, which is one of the first things you got to get a handle on. So that the stories they're doing, well, you see it at the Pentagon too. There's not a legitimate reporter even covering the Pentagon anymore. Even Fox News walked. So what is the right thing for these professional reporters to do in a case like this? Stay and fight from inside? Do the best you can do? Or leave and let them finish the job of total destruction that they're so intent on? I don't know. I don't know. I could probably argue both sides. I don't know. All right. Well, so there's that. Ben is saying, I remember her from the 4th grade. Bari. Yeah, I remember her from then too. Listen, this is it's hard for me. I was so impressed by her as a kid. She was so bright and really charming, delightful kid. And I knew her because her family is such a wonderful family, and they had Sam and I were invited into their home often for Passover, for the Seder. I'd say 2 or 3 times. They had such a huge whatever. And she was as her siblings, nice people. So it's really hard for me to see what choices she's made. I got her phone number in my little book here. But I would not. I wouldn't know what to even say to her. Because I see members of her family, and I have no reason not to, interact with them in a welcoming way. I just am blown away. Sick. Just sick about it. I know a number of you would probably know her because also her grandmother, wonderful woman. Her grandmother was a teacher, wasn't she, at in the Pittsburgh Public Schools? Because I know at least one of you, Jonathan, you had her as a student, right, and adored her. So, yeah. Richard's asking me, when your career was just starting, would you have walked? I would have walked. I know myself. I would, yeah, absolutely, I would have walked. But I just don't know. I would not. I can't toe the line. It's why I ended up doing what I do, because if you do like a talk show, radio show, you have control. Nobody tells you what you can say. And in as much as they did, as a matter of fact, the one time I was literally told what I could say, I refused to do it. And it cost me my job at WTAE radio. What I mean, this is so absurd. I've told you the story. They told me that even though everybody knew that they had sold themselves to another, they were changing the format to sports. And so I was going to be gone. Doug Hurth was going to be gone. We were toast. And we were told that under no circumstances were we to talk about that on our shows. Absolutely forbidden. And I said, well, wait a minute. You mean I can't say goodbye? Yeah, Jonathan is saying Mrs. Weiss was my favorite teacher ever at any level. Wow. Okay. So, yeah. I said, I can't say goodbye? I'm just going to like disappear? And they said, that is what we're telling you. So, of course, I mean, I think the next day I went on and said, guys, I gotta let you know this, and I gotta say goodbye. And I did. I wasn't doing it to say fuck you to the administration, but I was saying it because I had to the audience. And boy, oh boy, that was the last time I was ever on that station. They threw me out and said, not only are you being fired now, but you will not receive the severance that we were going to give you. Yeah. Unbelievable. No, I don't toe the line. Yeah. God. People are saying she comes from an entitled family. She comes from a family that lived the American dream. Her grandfather started a carpet store, a little rug store, and built it up into a very successful. The remnants of it now are called Weiss House. It's on Highland Avenue, and Bari's aunt and cousin run it. It's a marvelous store. But high-end stuff. They're a very successful family, very close family, and a lot of them do wonderful work. I related to them in that my family too. My grandfather was a peddler, and then he opened a storefront, and then he built it into a furniture store. Very much, this is this is not an uncommon Jewish story, and my dad grew that store and then sold it to Bob Dylan's cousins, right? And then instead went into sort of commercial real estate development. But this is, and so I grew up in a comfortable, privileged, warm Jewish family. So I had felt very comfortable always around the Weisses. They reminded me of, in many ways, of my own family. I just I don't know. So I can tell you there are members of that family that do not share her politics. And in fact, I am relatively certain that, at least used to be the case, that her mother and father well, not her mom and dad. Wait a minute. Yeah, that her mom and dad cancel each other out at the voting booth. That's my guess. I don't know. Whatever. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting to. Hey, let me end on something here that is totally unrelated. It was something that moved me. It has to do with Tiananmen Square. Do you remember? I remember being transfixed. It was the first time that, like, well, one of the first times I think that we watched, CNN was there, that we were sort of watching a huge story happen in real time. I wasn't living in this house at the time. This would be 1989, right? And I was very much in radio and television news. And I remember just sort of sitting right in front of my television and watching this unfold. The horror of it, the courage of that one guy who stood up to the tanks, and then the fact that so many of those young people were mowed down by the Chinese military. And I did not know this that I'm going to tell you, and the reason this story is out there now is somehow video of his trial has been leaked out. And so it has shed light on the fact that the general, the Chinese general, who was given the order to take down those protesters, refused to do it. I was so blown away by the courage of somebody like that. As we're talking now about our generals and obeying what, an order that offends their conscience and their sense of morality. And this guy, so video of his trial, I mean, they fucking stripped him of everything. He knew the minute he did it, he was a goner. What's amazing is he lived. He spent a lot of time in jail, but he died just 4 years ago at the age of 85. And he always told people he had no regrets about the decision he made. It's estimated that certainly hundreds, possibly thousands of unarmed people on June 3rd and 4th of 1989 were killed by Chinese soldiers firing on protesters. He refused. One of the generals that was at the meeting where this guy refused, in the trial says that when General, his name is Zhu Jian, I don't know how to, if I'm pronouncing it, General Zhu, XU, when he told the other generals that were giving him this order that he would not follow it, that the room went silent. They were in absolute shock. And this guy, General Dye, testified at the trial, nobody expected words like this. He said at his trial that he did not want to go down as a sinner in history. Wow. So I'm just saying, there is somebody. Let us hope. Because how many fucking generals are in the Chinese military? One stood up like that. And it didn't change what happened. The government went on and did what he would not do. But that is a man. That is a man of courage and conscience and honor. And I didn't even know he existed. So I wanted to share that with you. Ending on a positive note. Thank you all for being there with me. I am so appreciative of your presence. You have no idea. No idea. Seriously. Okay, come on, baby. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Yes!
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.